The Federal Reserve just barely increased interest rates in an effort to stop inflation. What does this mean for buyers and sellers? And what do you need to know as a real estate agent in order to communicate and help those clients? What's up, guys? It's Dustin Brohm, host of the Massive Agent Podcast, and today we're talking about the recent Fed funds rate increase. Okay, the Federal Reserve just raised interest rates another 0.75%. Pretty aggressive move. They're trying to stop inflation. What that means, though, is there's going to be an effect on housing. There's going to be an effect on the mortgage rates, which affects housing. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. This uncertainty is where consumers need you as a real estate agent. Realtors really need to educate the crap out of themselves right now, learn what all of this means, but more importantly, not just like regurgitating headlines and concepts, but explaining what those concepts mean if you're planning on buying a house this year. If you're planning on selling a house, what does all of this mean for you? That's what you need to be doing in your videos. Far too often I see realtors do a video where they basically just take the headline and regurgitate it. The Fed just raised interest rates. First off, if you're not explaining that the federal funds rate is not the same thing as a mortgage interest rate, you can't just assume that consumers know this stuff. Hell, most realtors don't even know that. So you've got to start with the basics. You have to learn how to dumb things down. Not to insult someone's intelligence, but just being realistic. They are not real estate professionals. That's why they need you. If they were a real estate professional, what the hell would they need you for? So they need you to help decipher what all of this news means to them. If you haven't been doing this, you really need to as a realtor, but you need to be asking people what their intentions are. What are their goals? What are they trying to accomplish? If they just want to start building a portfolio of rentals, you need to find that out. That's very different than somebody who needs to sell their house because they accepted a job offer on the other side of the country and then they need to buy a place there. Very different scenarios. Okay, you need to maybe bring your lender into the mix so they can give some clarity on some of the interest rate stuff. But the federal funds rate, just to close the loop on that, the federal funds rate is not mortgage interest rates. Now, one affects the other. Mortgage rates absolutely are affected by the Federal Reserve raising or decreasing rates, but it's not a direct correlation. Sometimes you'll see if the Fed raises interest rates, mortgage rates actually go down temporarily. But over the long term, the medium to long term, the mortgage interest rates tend to follow what the Federal Reserve is doing with the Fed funds rate. So understand the trend. You don't really need to get into the nitty gritty on are rates going to be up, down today. Like that's ridiculous. As realtors, that's not our game. Okay, that's the lender's game. You need to know the trend. Are mortgage rates trending up or are they trending down? And what does that mean to somebody who's buying or selling a house? That's what you need to educate yourself on. When you're doing videos, when you're doing posts, remember, people now more than ever, when there's uncertainty, they need an advisor. They need someone to teach them. They need someone to cut the bullshit and just explain what all these crazy, scary headlines mean to them in their situation, okay? Not just what do the headlines mean, but what do they mean to them? When you're speaking to people, think about a specific seller, someone who's relocating. What do they need to know right now if mortgage rates are going up? If mortgage rates are going up and prices start to go down, how does that affect them in their current situation? That's what you need to be doing. Be the lighthouse in the storm. Be the authority and the advisor, because there's plenty of headlines. If people just want to read headlines, they don't need to read yours. They need to understand what the headline means to them based on their goals and their situation. If you have an investor, you may start picking up more investor clients because people are going to hear home prices may start going down. Foreclosures are probably going to start going up because if this recession really picks up steam, there's going to be some job loss. When there's job loss, then there's going to be people who aren't able to make their mortgage payments anymore. Are you educated enough to provide a solution to those homeowners? People who are facing foreclosure, do you have clients who are able to come in with cash and basically buy the house before the bank takes it, give that seller or that property owner a little cash in their pocket so that they're walking away with something in their hand, they're avoiding a foreclosure, but then they're getting a property? Figure out what's going on here. Educate yourself on that. You know, all the investments, all the investment opportunities that came about in the 08-09 crash, a lot of those opportunities are becoming available again, or they will in coming months if housing does start to correct. The chairman of the Federal Reserve believes that we're going to see a housing correction. And in fairness, in some markets, we've already seen it. It doesn't necessarily mean a crash, but it means that instead of prices going up steadily, they're going to be going down. And let me say this to wrap it up. A home price going down is not the same thing as a price reduction on a listing. A price reduction on a listing means that you're not able to get as much as you were asking for. Well, what if you were asking for 200 grand more than the thing was actually worth? It doesn't mean that the value went down, but you just had to correct your asking price to bring it down to market value. Now, if market value starts to creep down, if the median home price starts to creep down, that's when you see home prices actually going down in your market. That creates unique opportunities, but make sure you're explaining the potential ups and downs and pitfalls of buying a house in this environment, selling a house in this environment. Make sure that's the message you're getting out there rather than just regurgitating headlines, because they don't need a realtor to do that. There's plenty of those out there. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you click onto the channel, subscribe if you found value. We are putting out a new video every single week, and we have a crap load of YouTube shorts for you to watch. If you're not already following me on Instagram, please do, @MassiveAgent, and would love to connect with you there. If you found value in this video, please consider sharing it with somebody else, because right now consumers need us, and the more educated we can be as real estate agents, the better served the communities will be, and that's on us. Appreciate it, guys. See you next week.